The IMF and the World Bank were created 80 years ago when banks, not markets, financed most things. Today, the financial world is flipped. The capital markets are the biggest source of private sector financing, and unlocking that money requires a different approach than the bank balance sheet model of yesterday. Today, the G7 average debt to GDP is 129. No matter how much we tax, how much we cut or reduce that debt, it will not be enough. The only way we can achieve this future of growth is by truly growing out of it. It is also becoming much more difficult to achieve. Within 25 years, most of the G7 countries will be on demographic downslope. Working age population will decline. The ceiling on growth will get lower and lower. This is why building new infrastructure is critical, especially through public-private partnerships.
Larry Fink just said the quiet part out loud, and it's not the first time.
If you're in a country where you're fearful of your government, or you're frightened that your government is devaluing its currency by too much deficits,
like us.
I'm not going to go there.
Well, he just went there, and this is huge.
Huge.
Based on that statement from Larry freaking Fink on the debt and BlackRock's actions just the past couple of years, well, it is nearly certain at this point that BlackRock is preparing and laying their own infrastructure so that when the Omega candle hits and Bitcoin transcends these other currencies and their borders, again, Larry Fink's words, not mine.
It's bigger than any government.
Well, why do you think BlackRock is rapidly building a war chest of Bitcoin? The evidence says they're getting ready for the Bitcoin standard to go global. BlackRock is preparing for hyperbitcoinization. We are definitely not bullish enough.
Party, that ball. Come and have a good time with G.O.D.
I'm very bullish on the long-term viability of Bitcoin.
I was going to say, did that surprise you?
That surprised me how much that's gone up. We're creating now a market that has more liquidity, more transparency. I'm pleasantly surprised, and I would never have predicted it before we filed it, that we were going to see this type of retail demand.
So you thought you'd do good, but not this good.
Yes. IBIT is the fastest growing ETF in the history of ETFs.
Hey, welcome back to the most bullish Bitcoin news show on the planet. I'm your chief propagandist, Rustin, and this may very well be one of, if not our most bullish shows of all time. Now, I want you to think to yourself, if Larry Fink and BlackRock were preparing for hyper-Bitcoinization or the Bitcoin standard to go absolutely global, well, what would that look like? If you deconstructed it, if you reverse engineered it, what type of things would the most powerful global asset manager on the planet do? Well, to begin with, they may start by investing in Bitcoin companies and miners, not direct exposure, but as close as they could get, in the early innings, just dipping their toes in a little bit. And as we can see, BlackRock has exposure to basically every publicly traded Bitcoin mining company, and of course, MicroStrategy and Coinbase, and the list goes on and on. Now, due to the fact we know the dollar is absolutely fooked, I mean, we can see the writing is on the wall. Just look at the national debt. What would Larry Fink's next move be? Hey, that's right. I'm guessing you nailed it. That would be bully that gremlin down at the SEC to pass a Bitcoin ETF. So then we could start building a massive war chest to be well ahead of the collapse when it hits. It's kind of a when, not an if at this point. Even Larry Fink is saying that now out loud. It's not batshit crazy. It has become almost common knowledge in a sense. And at the end of the day, as Greg Foss says it best, it's 10th grade math to understand.
Debt or interest expense compounds, right? And therefore, it's what's called an exponential function. An exponential function looks like that, which means the debt was growing on a relative basis in the past. It's just that the debt burden was so much smaller. Now, all of a sudden, it's hit a point where the interest expense is $1 trillion. That's the number that's opening people's eyes. Yes, it has accelerated because it's called the second derivative, the rate of change, okay? But it's all mathematics of a debt spiral because interest expense compounds. End of class. That's as simple as I can lay it out. If you don't understand what I just said, go back to grade 11 math and listen for a fucking change, okay?
Okay. Now, after the ETF, what would we do next? We'll become the leading holders, set records, and then we don't want to draw too much attention for the next sequence. Initiate the dump. Yeah, initiate the dump, stack massive coin over the counter. And yes, when Bitcoin's price dumps, maybe that can create some apathy. And while at the same time, BlackRock is building the exchange of the future. And they're doing so in the Bitcoin mining capital of the planet. That's right, Texas. And I'm going to go ahead and guess that it's likely going to have the capability to and the plan to have all companies, etc., priced in and traded in Bitcoin. At least I'm pretty sure that's what Larry Fink's real game plan is.
Let me be clear. I think ETFs are step one in the technological revolution in the financial markets. Step two is going to be the tokenization of every financial asset.
Now, before we show you one of Larry Fink's ultimate chess moves, displaying preparation for the Bitcoin standard, let's take a minute to recognize our sponsors, the Bitcoin Way, because with hyperbitcoinization on the horizon, it's never been more important to take self-custody of your Bitcoin. Bringing over 25 years of experience in cybersecurity, the Bitcoin Way is your IT team in the Bitcoin world. They'll help take you from that why Bitcoin to the how Bitcoin. From setting up your first wallet node all the way up to inheritance planning, accepting Bitcoin payments for your business. They cover all aspects of Bitcoin security and privacy. They even work with their clients to configure routers, devices, and networks. Also, not to mention UTXO management, in short for everything in Bitcoin sovereignty and privacy related. They are your go-to source. Okay, now major chess move, and this could be done purely out of disdain for Peter Schiff. It's not necessary, but definitely a way to make Shifty Pete cry. Promote gold the world over, but dump your own holdings low-key and replace all of it with Bitcoin. Allow others to accrue the shiny rock and not Bitcoin, so that when Bitcoin demonetizes gold, as silver was demonetized in the move toward the global gold standard, take a look at China during that time. It set them back a century. They got absolutely destroyed, and it looks like BlackRock is preparing for the same move, but with Bitcoin demonetizing Peter Schiff's shiny rock. We're upgrading, baby. Now, this isn't all sunshine and roses. There is a dark side.
There's also this effort that's been, posited by Larry Fink and Mark Carney and people like them to reimagine the World Bank and the entire multilateral development system, which for its entire existence has been about debt enslavement. But now they're not just trying to take bad debt and they're using the natural world to fuel their debt schemes.
You guys highlighted in the piece, pivotal part of technology in this whole mix is a Bitcoin sidechain, merge mine sidechain, rootstock, RSK.
RSK, yeah, basically allows stable coins, identity systems, carbon credits, any of these cleverly authored smart contracts to exist on Bitcoin itself. And so Bitcoin, rather than being just this kind of settlement network for Satoshis, can now actually uphold stable coins, carbon credits, other assets, and can have these cleverly authored bonds that get fed data from, say, a company like Satellogic and be able to uphold a carbon market, real world asset, commodity-backed stablecoin is now possible to be upheld on Bitcoin, which is, again, that's kind of what we talked about last time with this Fink universal ledger. He called Bitcoin a technology for data storage, for asset storage. And RSK basically is kind of an enabling environment for this.
These guys want Bitcoin to be a specific thing because they can use it. And there's people in the space, like this RSK guy, saying Bitcoin needs to lose its revolutionary ethos. It's got to drop that and become a tool for Wall Street. I think it's pretty obvious what needs to be done to scuttle those plans, which would be ensure the opposite. How do we invert their plans and use the Bitcoin blockchain so that it's the tool of financial freedom it was heralded to be? Because they can't get rid of it without scuttling their own plans.
Guys, at the end of the day, stupid bullish, but as Whitney said,
These guys.
This is why taking self-custody and staying vigilant is the key. More levels, more devils. And it looks like the world is our stage when even BlackRock and Larry are saying the quiet part out loud, when every presidential candidate is pandering to you, when the world is in the midst of a currency war and completely losing their minds. Basically, Bitcoin has already won, and we're waiting on the rest of the morons to just figure it out. You better believe we are well over the fucking target. Stay the course. We're knocking on Satoshi's door. Hey, hope you guys like this one. Be sure to share the Sound Money Gospel and set those notifications. We're going to be coming at you 3 to 4 times a week with Simply Originals at 3:21 Eastern Standard Time. So stay tuned and don't miss the #1 live Bitcoin only news show on YouTube, Simply Bitcoin Live with Nico and Opti, bringing the heat with Bitcoiners from all over the world, and they're delivering the signal at 12:15 Eastern Standard Time Monday through Friday. And if you guys want to stay informed on all things Bitcoin, head over to Twitter and give us a follow. We just hit 60K on Twitter. The team is absolutely killing it. Hey, we love and appreciate you guys. Don't let the status stifle the signal over here. Help give us a pep. And remember, drunk, fat, stupid, and poor ain't no way to go through life. Maximize yourself. Maximize your unconfiscatable wealth. I'll catch you next time. Peace.
If you prefer to go down with the ship, Fuck you.